Hey everyone, welcome back to the Winner Circle. I'm Derek.
I'm Tiffany.
And I'm Cody.
And we're here, we're coming to you with episode number 6 of The Traitors. As always, guys, if you haven't watched The Traitors yet and you want to get some behind the scenes information from the traitor himself, make sure you head over to Peacock and watch the entire series now. There's 10 episodes available for you to consume. Have to tell you, the show is phenomenal. You will not regret it. So make sure you go check out Traitors on Peacock.
Yes, and if you guys haven't
Make
done
sure
so already,
you guys like, comment, and subscribe.
That's right.
There we go.
It really helps the channel,
look
guys.
Look at Tiffany hopping in you.
We really appreciate it. And also share it if you guys are enjoying this and you maybe have a friend that is watching Traitors, pass it along to them to see if they're going to enjoy it as well. We really do appreciate it. Our channel has grown so much over the past 2 years. And so we really do appreciate it.
Absolutely. And as always, if you're listening on audio, when you get to a safe destination, make sure you go on, check out the reviews, leave a 5-star review. It really helps the channel, and leave some comments. That's how we know how to get better, and we keep improving the show each and every week. Okay, getting right into it. Top of the show, Cody. Mostly on each episode, you're into a situation where now we get the breakfast table. That's what I'm expecting at the top of the show. Get the breakfast table.
Ready to go.
And we find out who the traitors have decided to murder. However, that's not what happens here. A little bit different. Why don't you walk us through it? Because nobody gets murdered this morning, and there's a little bit of a twist.
All right, so we touched upon this last episode. At the end of episode 5, Alan comes into the Traitors turret and pretty much tells us there's not going to be a murder tonight. 3 faithfuls are going on trial, and one of those faithfuls will be murdered by the Traitors the following night. So now we have to decide who we're going to be putting up, and we come to the decision of Rachel, Angelica, and Kate. The reason why we threw Kate in there was because we knew that there was a lot of speculation around Kate, and we knew that a lot of people would think the Traitors might put a traitor on there to try to throw everybody off. So we figured putting Kate on there would make everybody kind of target her a little bit more. Angelica was there because, you know, poor Angelica was just really going through it. And it was almost a way to just kind of create a little bit more chaos. And then Rachel had her name be coming up a little bit. So we thought maybe we'll put her on there and let her spiral because Kate and Rachel had been like hammered each other. And so we wanted to see them clash a little bit. So that morning, Alan ultimately comes and tells everybody that.
What did you think about this twist? Were you looking at it as an opportunity, or were you looking at it, it's like, okay, they're trying to expose the traitors a little bit more?
I thought I didn't think it was going to be negative. Now my head is going a little bit differently because I just got called out brutally the night before. And so I'm sitting in that situation kind of annoyed a little bit because I'm like, I wanted a murder tonight. Like that night I wanted a murder because I was in a tough situation. And I was like, this has got to be a point where we murder somebody that can help me go forward. Because Serene and Christian were really under fire. Yeah, I would have probably went after like Rachel or Stephanie. I would have been like, Rachel or Stephanie's got to go because Stephanie,
have to be, right? They were calling you out.
They were calling it out, and it was mostly because like I wasn't talking with Rachel and Stephanie. I couldn't connect with. She was always super skeptical because what the Faithfuls were doing in this game were just ultimately going after the people that they trusted were talking about. And like Kyle mentioned me, Stephanie trusted Kyle, Stephanie wanted to go after me. Yeah. Rachel trusted Stephanie, Rachel wanted to go after me. It was really just like, you know, it was almost like mob mentality for your group. It's like whoever my group likes, we're going after that person, not, let me think. Let me try to figure out who it actually is. That's how it was like going throughout. So I knew, I was like, I need a murder tonight. And although it was exciting, I was like, man, this is not good for me. This is really not good for me. And then the next morning it was really tough because seeing Angelica, who they don't show any of our relationships, but Angelica was somebody I really connected with in the house. Tommy's cousin, Tommy Bracco from Big Brother. So it was like, I wanted to make sure she was having a good experience. A lot of people don't know that.
Yeah,
people don't know that.
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. So that's Tommy from Big Brother's cousin.
And now that you said, when you told me when I was watching the show, after you said it, I couldn't unsee it.
Yeah.
There's so many many similarities.
And so it was tough because when she was going through it every day, I felt horrible because it was almost like I really like Tommy and like we have a good relationship. And it was almost like to me, it felt like, dude, you're letting his cousin go through it. Like, what if your cousin was with him Like you would hope that he would make them feel comfortable. So I was like, she's going through it every day. Her being in the turret, her being one of the 3 the next morning was a wreck. And you see me on the episode, like I go up to her and I'm like trying to console her, but it just was horrible. The whole situation was horrible. It was like I needed a murder that night. It wouldn't have been Angelica because at this point it had to get a little more cutthroat. It had to be like who's talking about us. We got to get rid of them.
Who's making problems for you guys?
Yeah.
And so it was tough. So that day started off like really bad. I was like, man, here we go again.
Enjoy that croissant, buddy.
Yeah. I was like, I can't eat. I'm going to throw up.
Is this the breakfast when Rachel comes down and Kate is wearing her sheep vest and then she tells Rachel, like, I wouldn't trust you because I don't trust that outfit.
She goes, it's one of my favorite lines. She's like, I don't trust you because I don't trust your fashion choices. And then Rachel snaps back at her and says something about her jacket. And she goes, well, Princess Diana wore this, so you now don't like something fashion, like royal fashion. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
It was like so
Those
quick witted. Them two were just, but again, it goes to show.
Were they really like that?
Oh yeah. Oh my God. Kate couldn't stand
Oil and water.
And Rachel just didn't like, because Rachel, I don't necessarily know if Rachel, because I got to be honest with you, I don't think Rachel just dislikes people, but then if people attack her, she's in attack mode. And so that's where it was going with them. And that was another thing why they weren't trusting me, is because I never voted for Kate. I refused to, I was like, Kate's not a traitor. And again, they thought Kate was a traitor. So they were like, oh, Cody, because in correspondence to never voting for Kate, he must be a traitor too. Because they just were like, the rationale from the Faithfuls, and like no disrespect to them, were just like so off. It was like, oh, I think Kate's a traitor, so Cody has to be a traitor because he's not voting for Kate. It's like, that's how you're finding the traitors. And granted, they got, their rationale to pinning me was wrong, but it was like only a matter of time before my
it's a process of elimination. I mean, even a broken clock is right once or twice. Twice a day. What's the saying?
Yeah. It was like, all right, you guys got me. Yeah, I knew it. Okay. You did.
You knew it.
You would have got me. Yeah, you knew it.
Except Quentin, like, he was never right. Oh, my God.
But I'll tell you what.
I respect how he plays the game, though.
But I'll tell you what. Him voting for Kate every week, I personally would have been like never voting for him because I would have known he wasn't a traitor, because a traitor wouldn't do that week after week. They would try to at least change it up, do something different.
They would try to go
that to me, him voting for Kate every week, I was like, either the traitors, if I was in there as a faithful, I would have been like, either they made this up in the back room as a strategy to make it like a joke, or this dude just has no clue what's going on.
Yeah.
And he just keeps voting. So
he was going with his gut, and again, he was going with his heart and his logic.
Yeah.
But I think his heart and his logic were clashing, because like his heart made him not want to be, he didn't want to think that I was a traitor. That was his heart.
Never.
Even though things in his head were being like, man, he could be, but his heart was like, nope, Cody's not a traitor. So it's like,
you said there's personal relationship.
It's hard to play this game because your heart can't help but get into it, but you cannot play with your heart. It's got to be all
as close as you and I were on 16, when Julie says, oh, there was a team of people doing missions throughout the house all season, with how many conversations we had, did it ever cross your mind until I looked over and said, I'm in it? Because they didn't show that. Was there any point of view was like, oh, Derek was definitely part of that?
No. Throughout the entire game. Yeah.
You were like, what
I was like,
the
you're
hell?
a POS.
Like, you were,
and then you dropped the bomb that you were a cop too, and you hid that from everybody. I'm like, you could have easily told me that. I'm like, you're even more of a POS.
Yeah.
But it's all right. I got over it. Like, I got over it instantly.
But it's like when you think something the whole time and there's something going on with your boy, there's like, I would never believe anything that was going on.
Makes sense.
Okay. So we have the twist. We have the people. It's Angelica, Rachel, and Kate. We have the competition. We don't have to go too in depth on it. I think the really only highlight is you guys are pushing around these barrels. I have one question. Were the barrels actually that heavy? Because it seems like sometimes they play it up. Were they actually that heavy?
Oh, sometimes, bro, I'm not even exaggerating. It's sometimes like they made the smaller barrels heavier than the bigger ones.
By what they put inside of them?
It was so weird. Like the armory ones weren't that light. And so that was probably the biggest thing I would say the biggest thing from the competition was the armory. Because again, we know the money just goes in the pot. There's nothing really happening.
Right.
But the armory pass, again, and it was another thing in the episode where it was like they were trying to decide who wanted the armory pass. And I was like, listen, if you want it, you push it. And Sheree was like, Cody, you're talking too much. And I was like, what are you talking about? Everybody was just
The
shutting
army-
up. Nobody was talking when they were like, and I was like, yeah, if you want it, push it. Like, because honestly,
this was the
at that point,
introduction
I
to
didn't
that.
care. I was like, fucking push it.
This is the introduction to that, right? Because this is how they incentivize Rachel and them to go after, because they're like, hey, yeah, you guys are possibly up for murder tonight. However, if you guys get these barrels that have the armory on it, you could win potential safety to protect you, the shield. So, so you have them going for that. Rachel's like, I'd rather die than not get this armory pass. She's literally like, I'd rather die. And the other thing was, Tiffany, how would you have reacted to Kate? What's Kate doing? Are you laughing in that moment? Are you like ready to throw hands when she's throwing money down? What's your reaction?
Because I'm so competitive and then it's a team thing, if somebody's not working with me, then they're working against me. Like, why are you being such an enemy of progress here? So I would have been frustrated. Like, what are you doing? And it was obvious because she was saying, like, just send me home. Like, I don't want to be here. I would have not. I would have wanted, if I was a traitor, I'd have wanted to kill her. But,
because money's getting thrown away, and that's ultimately going in the pot.
Yeah.
But again, it was like the whole competition. Everybody was talking about like, she's got to go tonight. She's got to go tonight. So like for me, I'm sitting there being like, okay, she's going at the round table. Like she's the one that's going tonight. So perfect. Like let her.
Oh,
go.
you're going into this thinking, okay, this is good for me. I need to make some moves happen today, but it looks like Kate's painting a target on her back. I might be safe tonight.
Yeah, because then it gives,
at the round table.
Yeah, but the only issue is we're like, I had no idea how heavily things were coming my direction that day. I wasn't like fully aware. I wasn't fully aware.
They're doing it behind your back and they were definitely coming your way.
Yeah.
So all right. So the competition ends. The armory people are selected. It's Ari. It's Angelica. It's Rachel. Fast forward. Ari wins the shield. It's kind of a moot point in this episode. It doesn't really make a lot of sense, but I really want to turn to what you're talking about because we don't get into this episode, but the target has definitely turned to you, but there's a bigger issue here. Yeah, that's fine. The faithfuls are starting to think it's you, but more importantly, they're going to need the numbers to get you out.
They didn't have them.
And they don't have them.
They don't have them.
Unless
my traitors turn on
the traitors turn on you.
And the thing that's frustrating as I watch it back is that the traitors could have easily, the same way we were diverting people talking about Christian, going after people, if like, kind of talking amongst ourselves, if people mentioned Cerie's name, it was like all of a sudden I was playing and catering to them. And like the first chance they could have catered to me, they immediately don't. Because with that, I would have had Kate, Shelby, Cerie, Christian, myself, and they were a part of the conversations, but you don't really see it a lot. And from what I heard, Christian was kind of the guy that was like saying my name a lot. And he was the one that was, even though it was like Stephanie had mentioned it, like Rachel didn't want to believe, as much as she's like, I knew Cody was a traitor, Rachel only wanted to vote me out because I was trying to get people to go after her. Because Shelby had mentioned Kate, Kate had mentioned Kate, Angelica was a little bit, she was torn up.
Kate had mentioned Kate.
What's that?
Kate had mentioned Kate.
Oh, yeah. Kate had mentioned Rachel. And so it was like a lot of people, and Quentin was like skeptical of Rachel. And so it was like, all right, the numbers are definitely going towards Rachel at the round table. And so all Christian and Cerie had to do was just get on board with that. All they had to do was get on board with that. But then Christian
they
was
show
having
something
combos.
during the episode.
Yeah.
Yeah,
where
combos,
Christian
they
goes
show
to
something
Cerie.
during, yeah, even before that he's sitting there, I forgot who he was talking to, but someone's like, I think Cody could be a traitor. And instead of him deterring, like you said, he goes, well, I mean, I guess he could be. And they play like this dramatic music. You're like, Cody could be a traitor. It's like, okay, now here's the first fracture. And you can see his wheels turning. And as you just mentioned, this is when he goes to Cerie. Tiffany, it's funny, give a little behind the scenes. You were texting in the group text while you're watching this live, and you were emotionally like, nothing had happened at this point yet, but you could see you were starting to get frustrated.
Yeah.
What were what were the thoughts going through your mind
as
you're watching this kind of unfold?
What was because he was just I'm trying to remember, what did he do that pissed me off? I was so done with him. He was just talking about you. And I was like, oh, this dude is shit. Like, I want him to go. I was so mad. It was so late. I felt so bad for texting you guys. Like, what is Christian doing?
Yeah.
It is weird watching, like, you know, like it obviously already happened, but seeing it like from an outer, like you're watching it from home, you're like, no, you just want to get in there and change it. But you can see the tide starting to turn. Christian and Cirie have a conversation. You can tell that Cirie, in fairness to Christian, Cirie was already thinking it.
Oh yeah,
she just needed someone else to
because
bring
she's
it up
always
first. She didn't.
Yeah.
She was like, "Oh, I'm not gonna be the one thinking." But the way her mind works, she's like ready to cut both of you in a minute.
She's
but
thinking
she
ahead.
Can't be the first one. So when he says that, she's like, "Oh, really? You think?" But then it's music to her ears.
Yeah, you know,
it's music to her ears. She was like, "Sweet, I love this. Cut somebody out. Let's do it as fast as possible." So you could see where it was going. At the end of this episode, we get to the round table. I don't remember what votes they showed. They don't show all of them.
They made it seem like it was kind of like, ooh, Cody or Rachel. Because the thing is that at the round table, I was throwing stuff out there in regards to Rachel that I had heard other people saying. Like other people were saying this stuff. Like, I'm not just coming up with it because I'm trying to say the things that I'm hearing because that's like, that would maybe make people kind of sway towards Rachel. And it was very possible because, like, again, Shelby, Angelica, Kate, Quentin, all these people had already mentioned, like, they were kind of concerned about Rachel. And then I had a conversation with Ari, who I hadn't spoken to much. They didn't even show the conversation. But it was like, I was saying some things to Ari, and it was making Ari think, like, Ari was kind of being like, I could tell when I talked to Ari, he was like, I really feel like you could be the traitor. But I don't know. Like, I don't know yet because it was like I was doing a pretty good job when I was not losing it at like throwing stuff all over the place to try to like throw people off, just trying to put as much smoke in the air as I possibly could. And there was something I said at the table that made Ari actually ask me, he goes, how come you didn't share that with me earlier? Because it was something that Rachel said. And it was something that Rachel had said that would have made people be like, oh, that's weird, which is ultimately what everybody – which later on what we see kind of coming around Rachel. And I feel like I almost had Ari. But again, we were in this situation where people that you trust are saying something. So people were going along with people that they trusted. And Ari definitely didn't trust me. He was closer with like Stephanie and I would maybe even Rachel. I don't know. But it was just it was so tough because so many of the people that I was having conversations with, I was like, oh, I just need the traitors to vote. And like Christian – he could have voted anyway, and nobody would have ever thought twice about it. But Cirie was in a tough situation, and Cirie, you know, obviously it's because of external factors. Like Cirie had that show with Rachel and Stephanie. Those three had already played a show together, so they were close. Now they're on the show here, and they're trying to form an alliance per se. And so Cirie had this alliance that she was trying to work with while also trying to cater to the traitors. And it's like, which one do you choose? And as we always choose, you go with the ones that you trust the most. So she trusted the two girls over trusting me. So it is what it is. Yeah. So she kind of starts switching. And that's why I called her out at the round table. I was so pissed. I was like, what do you think, Cirie? Like, what's going on? Why, who do you think it is?
You did say that.
And I said to her, I was like, you've never spoken up about who you think the traitor is, Cirie. So who do you think it is? And I thought, I was like, hello. Cause I could feel it turning when it got to her. And I was like,
because she said, I know it's not Kate. She's like, I don't believe it's Kate. And you're like, well, then who do you think it is then?
Yeah. Yeah. If it ain't her, or if you don't think it's her.
I was like, if you don't think it's her, like, name who you think it is, Cirie. You never say who it is. And nobody was like, why? Like, because I didn't talk to Cirie. And I was like, and this just shows, like, nobody was like, because the first thing I thought of was, and it wasn't like, I wasn't trying to ruin it. I was just pissed off in that moment. And then afterwards, I was like, man, I think I might have just, I could have just ruined Cirie's game, or I could have just messed it up for her. And honestly, I didn't want to, because my heart was like, I felt betrayed, but my head was like, it was a good game move. So I was like, I hope I didn't just mess up her game. But obviously the faithfuls' heads were in the clouds. So nobody was like, why did Cody just go at her like that? Because like, why else would I go at Cirie? I never really was talking to Cirie. Never saw me around her. I was never in the group. So it was almost like, and then nobody thought of that after the fact. Like, why did Cody go at Cirie? They immediately want to go elsewhere. So
fireworks at the round table. People are making allegations. You're calling out people, and that's where they end the episode. So we're going to end it there as well, because episode 7 is one you don't want to miss. If you've already seen the series, then you know what I'm talking about. But for those of you who don't, I'm not going to spoil it. As always, guys, listen, like, comment, subscribe on the video. We really appreciate it. It helps the channel. We're probably dropping this episode Sunday, Monday. I'm thinking Monday. So we're going to be back quick. We'll be back with episode 7 probably on Wednesday. So make sure you have your notifications on so you're notified as soon as we drop it. As always, we appreciate you joining us here on the Winner Circle. We will see you soon.